morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Message. I am your host, Donatus King. We'll spend this next hour with one purpose in mind, and that one purpose is delivering the message that God is Almighty. Everything that ever was, is now, or ever will be was made by God. Everything that ever happened, is happening right now, or ever will happen, was made to happen by God. God has a master plan for all time and all creation. God is Almighty. The message is brought to you by, is produced by the Society of Knowledge Incorporated. The Society is an interdenominational, religious, spiritual organization. Our members come from various different religious and spiritual backgrounds. We have various different religious and spiritual beliefs. Although we come from different backgrounds and have different beliefs, there's one belief that we share. There's one piece of knowledge that we hold in common, and that's the knowledge that there is a being. By no matter what name we may have been taught to call that being, by no matter what name we may have come to know that being, whether that name be God, Allah, Jesus, Jehovah, Yahweh, Buddha, nature, by no matter what name, we know that there is a being that possesses not some of the power, not most of the power, but all of the power. We know that there is indeed an almighty being. That's the reason we do this show, and the only reason we do this show, to deliver the message that that being that personally I call God, that being is indeed Almighty. Today is July 26, 2018, and I remind that fact because tonight, as we are on most Thursdays, we are live. And I remind you that fact because this show is an open discussion. It's a two-way conversation. For those of you that are watching on television, you see the telephone number that's on your screen. I invite you to use that number, call in, and join the discussion. For those of you that are watching by Facebook, I invite you to post a comment on Facebook. And something new tonight, we do have some graphics that we're able to place on Facebook. And so those of you that are watching on Facebook, you see the telephone number that's on your screen right now. Use that number and call in and join the discussion. So if you're watching by Facebook, you have two options. You can call in, use that number, or you can post your comment on Facebook. It's important that I remind you that this is an open discussion because we want to encourage you. If there's something that's going on in your church, your mosque, your masjid, your temple, your place of worship, your synagogue, and you want to let the world know about it, call in or post a comment and let the world know about it. If there's something that's going on in your nonprofit, Brother Armand, I see, thank you for joining us on Facebook. If there's something that's going on in your nonprofit organization and you want to let the world know about it, call in or post a comment on Facebook and let the world know about it. More important to me, more important than what's going on in your place of worship, more important than what's going on in your nonprofit, if there's something that God has done for you in your life, a miracle that God has worked in your life. And I use that word, literally, a miracle, because the God that I'm here to tell you about is working miracles even today, July 26, 2018. The God I'm here to tell you about is working miracles. So if God has worked a miracle in your life, call in. Share your testimony with the world. You know, maybe we're going through some difficult health problems. The medicine wasn't working to heal you. The doctor wasn't able to heal you. But miraculously, God healed your body. Call in. Share your testimony. You know, there's so many folks that are going through health problems nowadays. They're taking all kinds of pills, going through all kinds of surgeries, and nothing is helping them. Hearing your testimony, how God worked a miracle in your life and healed your body, even when the doctors failed, even when the medicine failed, hearing your testimony about how God cured your body, healed your body, that might be the one thing that someone that's watching this show right now needs to hear, to encourage them, to strengthen them, to help them to hold on a little bit longer, to let them know, to remind them that God is indeed Almighty, that God can do what the doctors can't. God can do what the medicine can't. That God can work a miracle in your life. So call in or post your comment on Facebook and share your testimony with the world. You know, I'm excited, and I'm excited because we have not been live for the past 2 weeks. I had a great time, was able to take a family vacation, me, the wife, the children and grandchildren. We rented a 15-passenger van. We took a trip out on the West Coast, went to Arizona. We have some family out there, and we celebrated my mother's birthday. And my mother, she's been deceased for several years, but the family wanted to have a birthday party for her, so that's what we did. We had a birthday party, had a great time. As I say, we was in Arizona, and look, those of you that are in New Orleans, it's hot here, but man, it is even hotter in Arizona. You know, when you have 113 degrees, I'm not exaggerating, 113 degrees, that's hot. And I know folks talk about you don't have as much humidity. You're right, but when you're 113 degrees, you are hot, period. You're just hot. But had a great time out there with my family out there. We left Arizona, and we were able to spend some time. We were able to spend some time in Las Vegas. So we went to Vegas. We had an opportunity to visit the Grand Canyon, Hoover Dam. You know, so we really had a wonderful time on vacation. And I understand we did have a little problems with our live stream going to Facebook. The connection was lost, but it looks like we're trying to get that connection back. So those of you that are watching by Facebook, and I think that we're back up now, actually. So that's good. That's a good thing. And you know, like with any technology, you're gonna have some bugs in it. But it's great that we are able to get back online on Facebook. And one of the things about it, you know, we talk about using social media nowadays. I don't know about you, but I'm just going to speak about my own family and the people that I'm around personally. You know, they could be 4 or 5 of us together, and looks like everybody has a phone or a tablet or iPad, and everybody, even though we're sitting in the same room, everybody's got their own little device out, and they're looking at their device. You know, looking at all these social media outlets, looking at all different kinds of things. And I mention that because we're in an age now, for those of you that may not be aware, we're in an age now that the TV, the television, that's really going by the wayside. Most, especially the younger generation nowadays, all you see, they're looking at YouTube, or looking at Facebook, Instagram, looking at all that kind of stuff, and instead of watching these programs that are on TV, these sitcoms and all the rest of that, they're going online and finding all kind of stuff. They're going online and finding all kind of stuff online, and picking their own things that they want to watch. And as I say, this is what's so good about it, and coming into this age of these electronic devices, it's an opportunity to have a greater outreach. So, whereas going on television used to be the way to reach, the masses, and it still is, but you're reaching so many more folks when you're able to go not only on television, but also able to go by through the social media outlets. And I see that I just wanted to make sure the phone number that we had on the screen on our Facebook, we want to make sure that's the number. So those of you that are watching on Facebook, the number that you see on the screen right now, that's the number that you can call. That number, that 504-821-3221. You can call that number 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and leave a message if no one's there, and you can someone will respond. But the number that for the show tonight, if you want to join the show tonight, join the discussion, that number is 504-483-3336. That's 504-483-3336. Sister Candace, thank you for joining us on thank you for joining us on Facebook. And let's get moving. Let's move along with our show tonight. All right. Announcements for those of you that are new to the show, not familiar with the format. We'll have our announcements. Then we have testimonies. After that, we'll have our religious spiritual study session. And during that, we remind everybody, prove all things, hold fast that which is good, coming out of the first book of Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. And again, for those of you that are watching by Facebook, there's the number that's on your Facebook right now. If you want to join the discussion, that's 504-483-3336. Our words of inspiration tonight will come out of the book of Genesis chapter 49, starting at verse 27, and then we'll see just how far we'll be able to get. Announcements, www.godisalmighty.org. I invite you to, that's our main website. I invite you to log that website into your web browser, and on that website, there are links to all of our social media outlets. We have a religious discussion blog, we have a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, live stream, all of our social media outlets. Just go to our main website, www.godisalmighty.org, and there are links to all of our social media outlets. You can even go there and watch the message live. So if you're not on Facebook and you want to watch the show live, just go to our main website, and there's a link there that'll bring you to our show live. Rock of Ages Ministry International, Apostle Ronnie Bailey. Apostle Bailey was the last guest that we had in studio on the show, and that was 3 weeks ago. Apostle Bailey was on the show. I had a great time with him. He shared a lot of information, a lot of powerful praying with us. And I thank Apostle for coming on the show. The Apostle, for those of you that are not familiar with Apostle Bailey, the Apostle, he's actually based, his ministry is based out of Lafayette, Louisiana. But he does some great work not only in the Lafayette area, but also here in the greater New Orleans area. So I thank Apostle Bailey for being on the show and for all of the information that he shared with us when he was on the show a couple of weeks ago. And that's his website, www.ronniebailey.com. The Peacekeepers of New Orleans, 504-500-1706. That's Minister Willie Muhammad out there in the New Orleans East area with Peacekeepers. And what the Peacekeepers do is that they help folks to mediate disputes. So if someone is having a dispute, having an argument, instead of picking up a gun or some kind of weapon, they can call the peacekeepers, and the peacekeepers will help them to try to settle that without resorting to violence. Brother Derek, thank you for joining us on Facebook. Brother, do you have anything you want to share? If you do, call in or post it. Apostle Bailey, thank you. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. We were just talking about your ministry, and as you see, it's still up on the screen. One thing I do want to talk briefly about, and that's to I want to extend our deepest sympathies and condolences to the Beaulieu family. For those of you that may be unaware, Paul Beaulieu transitioned this past week. He was a radio personality for many years on WBOK AM radio here in the city of New Orleans. He was a community activist. He actually was one of my teachers at St. Augustine High School. And as I say, he was very, very active in the community, involved with politics for a number of years. He had a television show that aired here on cable access television in the city of New Orleans, and he transitioned this past week. My understanding is that his services will be this coming Tuesday at St. Maria Goretti Church, and I think the viewing is from 9 to 11, and I think the funeral will follow at 11 o'clock. But, you can go online, you can get that information, but you can always give me a call just to confirm that information. Again, sympathies goes out to the family of Brother Paul Beaulieu. And Paul Lloyd, thank you for joining us on Facebook. Sister Carolyn, thank you for joining us on Facebook. Brother Paul, Sister Carolyn, has God done a miracle in your life? Has God opened doors in your life? If he has, please post your testimony or call in. And you see the number that's on the Facebook page right now. That's 504-483-3336. You know, some folks might be in need of encouragement right now. You know, we're going through some crazy times right now. Some crazy times. We're going through some crazy times. Needless to say, crazy times with politics. The people around the world that used to be our friends, now they're our enemies. The people around the world that used to be our enemies, now they're our friends. We don't know who to trust, who to listen to. We have some of our political leaders that are telling us don't even believe what we see, don't believe what we hear. You know, we're going through some crazy times. We're going through some crazy times with the weather. In Greece, these fires that are going, sweeping wildfires in Greece, never heard that before. You know, killing people, having people running down to the coast to try to get away from the fires. You know, it's just some crazy things going on. You know, a lot of us need to be encouraged. A lot of us need to know that God is still in control, no matter how crazy things might seem to be, that God is indeed in control. All right, let's move on. Call 311 from 8:30 to 4:30 for free smoke detectors. Check your car's back seat for babies. Again, a tragedy. Just heard it this past week. I forgot what city it was in, but another baby died, left in the car. Okay, and the crazy part about it, the sad part about it, is that most of these tragedies are not because a parent is trying to harm a child. It's not intentional. It's accidental. And you heard me talk a little bit earlier about how nowadays, folks, everybody's got an iPhone or an Android or iPad or a tablet. Everybody's walking around all day with these things. We've gotten so distracted in our lives that folks are forgetting that they have a child in the back seat. You see, the law in most places nowadays, the law says that a child under a certain age has to be in a car seat and has to be strapped into that car seat, and that car seat has to be in the back seat. That's the law. And if you get caught with a child in the car seat, but in the front seat, you get a ticket. So folks that are trying to be good citizens, trying to obey the law, they're putting their children in these car seats, strapping the car seat in the back seat, getting in the car, getting in the routine of going to work or going to school, going wherever. Half the time might be texting or get a phone call. Getting out the car, got a phone call, forget that they got the child in the back seat. So, again, and it's tragic. It's tragic every time I hear about a child losing their life with that. And Sister Carolyn, thank you. Thank you for sharing your testimony, posting your comment on Facebook that, yes, he has blessed me in a miracle of memory. All right, a miracle of memory. And that right there, that Sister Carolyn on Facebook, those of you that are looking at Facebook, you see that comment. Those of you that are watching on TV, I just share that with you. And I share that with you. Look what she said. The miracle of memory. You know, we have so many of us, and I'm not just going to say our senior citizens. We have so many of us nowadays that are actually having memory problems. We know it's publicized about a lot of our seniors that are suffering from dementia, suffering from Alzheimer's. And that right there is something that, you know, when you're living with someone, particularly if it's a parent, and it gets to the point where the parent doesn't even recognize you, doesn't remember you, doesn't know who you are, you know, that's hurting. And I thank Sister Carolyn for sharing her testimony about how God has worked a miracle in her life with memory. All right, let's go on. Voice of Our Generation, www.vogstation.com. I want to thank Brother Vernell Trainer for organizing that. And this show now, the message can be heard on the radio. And you see that's the internet radio station, www.vogstation.com. And it airs on Sundays, and I think Sundays at 9 a.m. So, we're using all the different tools that we can, all the social media outlets, everything that we can. One purpose, and that's delivering the message that God is Almighty. Talking about social media, this morning I woke up this morning and I posted a comment on Facebook. And that comment that I posted was, it's not, and I didn't say it's not. I said, it ain't. And I know that Mr. Boyer taught me better English than that. But it ain't in your hands. It ain't in my hands. It ain't in the devil's hands. It's in God's hands. God is Almighty. That's the post that I posted this morning on Facebook. And that post right there, that post gives me strength. It energizes me. It lets me know that I'm a human and I'm going to do things that ain't right. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to stumble. That reminds me that all of you are humans and you're going to do things that's not right. Going to do things that you're going to stumble. And it reminds me that no matter what somebody tries to tell me about a devil and what the devil can do this and the devil can do that, that ain't even in the devil's hands. See, it reminds me that it's in the hands of the one that I call God. It's in the hands of the Almighty. So I can wake up in the morning and I ain't got to worry about if I'm going to make a mistake today. I ain't got to worry about if somebody that I run into is going to make a mistake today. I ain't got to worry about what the devil's going to do. I ain't got to worry about none of that because I know that God is in control. Yes, indeed. God is indeed Almighty. All right, let's move on. Announcements. Imani Temple number 49 is having its 25th anniversary celebration from August 8th through the 12th, 2018. The founder of the Imani Temple throughout the world, and that's Archbishop George Augustus Stallings Jr., he will be there. He is the patriarch and founder of the Imani Temples. John W. Milton is a pastor of Imani Temple number 49. And Imani Temple number 49 is located at 201 East Willow Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. And for more information, you can call 337-534-8878, or you can visit their website, and not website, but you can actually send them an email at admin@imanitemple49.org. And just a shout out to the folks over at Imani Temple. That celebration is going to be, I think, a 4-day celebration. It's on the screen from August 8th to August 12th. My wife and I, we go there. We've been there a couple of years, and a great time. I've had the pleasure of meeting Archbishop Stallings and actually breaking bread with him and having a discussion with him. The folks who are out there at Imani Temple, great people. I mean, great people at Imani number 49. Great people out there in Lafayette. And I will say about Pastor Milton, he's a real fellow. When I say he's a real fellow, not pretentious, doesn't put on airs. He really meets people where they are, and I think that's one of his characteristics that the folks are so drawn to him, that they're so successful at Imani number 49. Now, one thing I must say though, and for full disclosure, is that a couple of years ago, at the anniversary celebration, and that celebration goes on, let's say, for 4 days. Each day there's something else going on. One year they had a barbecue contest, and that still sticks in me. I'm still sore about that. And somehow or another, I don't know how it happened, but Pastor Milton won the barbecue contest. So I had participated, or at least some other folks had participated, but somehow or another, Pastor Milton won that barbecue contest. So that's just stuck with me. But Pastor Milton, I'm gonna let you know, if you got another barbecue contest this year, I'm gonna be watching real close. All right, great folks out there. And as you can tell, I'm saying all that with tongue in cheek. Great guy, great family, him and his wife. Really great folks out there at Imani Temple number 49. All right, let's see. Boy Scout Troop 185. Okay, again, something else that's close and dear to my heart. Boy Scout Troop 185. At one point in time, I was actually the scoutmaster of Troop 185. My 3 sons came up through Troop 185. 2 of them made Eagle Scout. The third one would have made Eagle Scout, but Hurricane Katrina hit, and we were displaced. So he didn't get a chance to make Eagle. He was at that step right before Eagle when Katrina hit. But Troop 185 is having a car wash, and I speak about myself being, for a very short period of time, being a scoutmaster. But the scoutmaster that is one of the greatest guys that I had the pleasure of being associated with, and that's Mr. Gary Winchester, who was the current scoutmaster. He was a scoutmaster before I was, and he's been there almost, I don't know how many years. He's been there a whole lot of years. But the number of young men, the number of lives that he has positively touched, and I thank him. I thank him for the work that he's done in our community. We talk about all kinds of things, talk about saving our sons and all the rest of that. If you have a child, if you have a young man or a young lady, because there are Girl Scouts. As a matter of fact, I think nowadays the Boy Scouts have become co-ed. So if you have an adolescent, that's one of the greatest things that you can do. Get them involved in scouting. The skills that they learn, not only the outdoor type of skills, knot tying and all that kind of stuff, but the relationship skills, how to interact with people, the social graces, how to resolve conflicts without fighting each other and coming to blows. Just the positive, keeping them positively involved. And something else I'll share about scouting. There were trips that I went on, things that I did in scouting, being a scoutmaster, being a parent of scouts, that I never would have done in my life had it not been for that. I had the opportunity, and I enjoyed doing it, of hiking the Appalachian Trail. Actually hiking the trail, eating wild blueberries, with llamas following behind us, all that kind of stuff. Swimming in a mountain pool. Okay, a mountain pool. When I'm saying a pool, not a swimming pool, but a pool, a big hole in the mountains that's become filled with water. And that's some of the coldest water that there is. And I had the opportunity of doing that, hiking in the mountains, with scouting. So again, If you have a youngster, that'd be great to get them involved in scouting. D, I see that you joined us, and as you can see, I told you that we had the lower thirds now, and we have some other graphic overlays. We just, this is new. This is today. We're just using this technology, so we're, constantly trying to make some progress. Again, that car wash, Sunday, this coming Sunday, Maria Goretti Church here in the city of New Orleans from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., and that's 7300 Crowder Boulevard in New Orleans East. Testimonies. I said that we have been on a family vacation for the past 2 weeks. I had an opportunity to go out west, and something else that we had the opportunity to do and had the pleasure to do, and that was to stop in San Antonio, Texas on the way back, and on the way back from Arizona, stop in San Antonio, Texas, and visit with some dear family friends. And when I say some dear family friends, I mean that for over 30 years, our families have been friends. They relocated after Hurricane Katrina, and they have not returned. But they were some of the earliest members of the Society of Knowledge, some of the earliest members of the Society of Knowledge. And I'm talking about in the late 70s, the early 80s, when they joined the society. And we've remained friends and closer than friends since then. And you've heard me speak about them here on the show, and that's none other than Brother Bill and Sister Connie. And we do have a video clip from San Antonio from last week, and actually last Thursday, when we stopped in and visited with Brother Bill and Sister Connie.
Hey, we're here in San Antonio, and we're here with Mr. William King Meredith and his, better known as Brother Bill, and his lovely wife, Sister Connie. And we, Brother Bill and Sister Connie, come on there, Sister Connie. All right. Brother Bill and Sister Connie, two of the oldest members, and when I say old, from the beginning of the Society of Knowledge. This is July the 19th, 2018. As I say, we're here in San Antonio, and we've just come here to fellowship and to share because it's been a little while since we've last gotten together. And we're going to start off, Sister Connie. Do you have some words that you want to share with us this morning?
All right. Well, I thank God for having you. We like family, that whenever you pass this area, you drop in to see us. We are thankful, and the family's all grown up and seems to be well-rounded kids, do what kids do. And I'm glad to see all of you. And
Brother Bill, you have some words that you want to share?
I'm seeing my brother here. I haven't seen him in about...
It's been a few years.
couple years.
Yes. Whenever he's going across the country, spreading the word of God, as long as he passes Texas, he comes here.
Thank you, brother.
Yes.
And it's been that way from the day we know him.
We're gonna wrap this, but it was just great coming out here and visiting with Sister Connie and with Brother Bill. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna close this out, and then we're gonna say a prayer together.
That's right.
All right. Again, Brother Bill. Thank you, brother. There you go.
Hey, see you all again. And that's been years, and you never change. You're the same.
And you all, it's all, they say family.
Yes.
Yes, family.
All right, that's Brother Bill and Sister Connie out there in San Antonio, Texas, and it was great having the opportunity to stop by and visit with them for a brief moment. And actually, that was last Thursday that we were in San Antonio. All right, let's see. All right, we get a chance tonight. We're going to get into some scriptures. Religious spiritual study. We don't have a topic that we're going to discuss tonight, so we're going to jump right into our scriptures. And our scriptures, our words of inspiration tonight, coming out of the book of Genesis chapter 49, starting at verse 27. As I always explain, that this show is interdenominational. The Society of Knowledge is interdenominational. So it doesn't matter what religion you belong to. It doesn't matter if you don't belong to a religion. It doesn't matter. The only purpose of this show is not to convince anybody of any particular religion, not to convince anybody of anything. The only purpose of this show is to deliver the message that God is almighty. And no matter what name you know God by, no matter what name you use, there is an almighty being. That's the purpose of this show. Now, I remind you of that because on this show, to deliver that message, to help us get that message delivered, a lot of times, most of the times, we'll use the Bible. Now, we've used all different types of religious texts. We've used not only religious texts, we've used all different kinds of things to help us deliver that message. But most of the time, it is the Bible. And if you have a Bible, the Bible that we use is the King James Version of the Bible. So when you hear me reading these verses, if you have a King James Version, the words in your Bible should be exactly the same as the words that I read. And again, reading those scriptures and discussing those scriptures, only one purpose, and that one purpose is to deliver the message, not convince anybody that the message is good or bad, right or wrong, true or false, not to convince anybody of anything. Is just to deliver the message that God is almighty. Now, what understanding that you have of that message, that's between you and God. Our only work, our only mission, our only purpose is to deliver that message. All right, so having said that, let's get into the scriptures. Genesis chapter 49, verse 27. Now, what we've been talking about, and I can't spend all night bringing us up to speed. But what we've been doing is we've been going through the scriptures. We started in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. And now we're in chapter 49, verse 27. And it's taken us a whole lot of years to get to this point. But just to recap, okay, to bring us up to speed, what's happening now is that the Jacob, also known as Israel, Jacob is about to die. Him and his family are in Egypt now. Okay, they've come out of the land of Canaan into Egypt because of the famine that was throughout the land. And what we started reading about a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months ago, we started reading about Jacob on his deathbed and talking about his sons and prophesying about his sons and giving his opinion about his sons. And what we're reading about tonight is we're reading about Benjamin. And Benjamin, that's Jacob's youngest son. And for those of you that are familiar with the Bible, that have read through the Bible, you realize that Benjamin had a very, very special place in the Bible. So let's get through it. Say Benjamin, Genesis chapter 49, verse 27. And these are the words according to Jacob. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. Now, this is a metaphor. Okay? A metaphor. This is Jacob describing his youngest son. Now, you know, sometimes, a lot of times, when we think about the youngest child, what comes to mind is usually the one that's spoiled, the one that's the weakest. But look how Jacob talks about Benjamin. Look what he's prophesying for Benjamin. He's prophesying that Benjamin is going to raven as the wolf. In raven, that means going out, tearing stuff up. As the wolf, ravenous. And it says that in the morning he shall devour the prey. See, he's going to be successful. And look what it says. It says he will devour the prey in the morning, but then at night, okay, and we don't want to skip over that too quick. At night, he is going to do what? He's going to divide the spoil. So Jacob is letting us know that Benjamin is going to be a conqueror. He's going to be successful. But he's not going to hoard everything to himself. He's going to divide it. After he's gone out conquering things, he's going to divide the spoil. Now see, this is one of the things, and as I said, the purpose of this show is to deliver the message that God is almighty. And we see that in this verse. We see that in this verse. We see in the verse how even though Benjamin is the youngest son, God has blessed him and will bless him so that he will be able to go out and provide for others. You see, and I say God is almighty. You know, you may have in your family, understand what I'm saying, in your own family, you might have brothers and sisters. You might have a younger brother or sister. And you might be looking at them right now and saying, boy, look at them jokers. They so timid, so fragile, so this, that, or the other. They so young. And that might be the same one 20 years from now that will pull you out of a hole. You see, God can do that kind of stuff. See, we're reading about it now. See, God had blessed Jacob with the blessing of prophecy. See, Jacob was able to see into the future and know what God was going to do. Now, I'm just saying this. Some of you believe in prophesying. Some of you don't believe in it. Some of you that are living now in the year 2018, understand what I'm saying now? Some of you that are living here in the year 2018, walk around with your iPhone, your iPad, your Android, walk around with all that kind of stuff, and you say, look, I don't believe in all that powers and prophesying and all that hoodoo. I don't believe in all of that. But some of y'all be the same folks that sit in the church 2 or 3 times a week. That'll sit in the church, listen to your priest, your preacher, your rabbi, shake your head, say amen, clap, get all happy and get the Holy Ghost and all of that. Be reading the Bible, all that. But then you say you don't believe in powers, and spirits, and prophesying. Well, that's what the Bible talks about. So So if you don't believe in that, you don't believe in the Bible. Yeah? Now, I ain't telling you whether it's true or false. I'm just saying, if you say you believe in the Bible, then you must believe in those different gifts. Because the Bible talks about them, unless the Bible is telling a lie. Okay, so, I'm just saying. All right. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is it that their father spake unto them and blessed them, every one according to his blessing, he blessed them. And he charged them and said unto them, I am to be gathered unto my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite. Now, I stopped right there, and I stopped right there for a minute. Because what Jacob is talking about right now, he's talking about his death. See, now all of us, or at least most of us, have an understanding that at some point in time, we're going to transition. At some point in time, we're going to die. Okay? All of us kind of have that understanding. But now, I just finished talking about Jacob having the gift of being able to prophesy. So now, what had me scratching my head is if he did indeed have the ability to see what's going to happen in the future, was he able to actually see the time and place and manner of his death? See, think about them kind of things make you sit down and make me sit down and think, because I might say to myself, well, that's a cool thing, to be able to have the gift of prophecy, being able to see into the future. That's a cool thing. That's great. But then, see, I sit down and think about that a little while. I say, well, hold on now. I don't know. You see, because if I could see into the future, it'd be a whole lot of things that had me scratching my head. Okay, one of them is, and I guess the one that really tears at me is, if I really could see into the future, that means I'd be able to see any of my loved ones. I'd be able to see when they would transition, when they would die. And if indeed I was able to see and not be able to do anything about it, if I was able to see that someone I love or one of my friends was going to be in a fatal car wreck, if I was able to see that and there was nothing I was able to do about that, man, I wouldn't really like that. See? So on one hand, I might be saying, man, it'd be cool to have the gift of prophecy. That'd be great. But then start looking at it and start saying, maybe not. Maybe I'll pass on that one. And that brings us back. That brings us back to the purpose of the show, and that's to deliver the message that God is almighty. You see, God not only has the gift of prophecy, not only has the ability to see what's going to happen in the future, but God actually makes the future happen. Now just think about that for a second. See, the God that I know doesn't allow things to happen. The God that I know, and I'm not trying to convince you, I'm not trying to tell you got to believe in this God. No, I'm just trying to tell you about the God that I know. The God that I know makes all things happen. All things. There are things that God makes happen that me, as a mere man, would judge as being bad. There are things that God makes happen that me, as a mere man, would judge as being tragic. And I would sit down and I would say, using my limited knowledge, that if I had the power, I wouldn't let those things happen. I wouldn't make them happen. But what did I say? What was that post that I put on Facebook earlier? It ain't in your hands. It ain't in my hands. It ain't in the devil's hands. It's in God's hands. I'm glad it's not in my hands. See, because you might have heard this expression. Let me tell you. This is an expression, unintended. Understand what I'm saying? Unintended consequences. Have you heard that expression before? Brother Malcolm? Brother Shaw, watching on Facebook, have you heard that expression? Unintended consequences? Huh? Okay. What that means is that you do something and you have one idea about what you're trying to accomplish, but it turns out that because of what you did, something else happens. Okay? Like, listen to this here. Check this out. You got somebody that you love, right? A loved one. And I'm not going to say a relative, a good friend. And let's say you have a good friend, and you love that friend so much that you say, look, we've been friends for a whole lot of years. I'm going to treat you and your wife to a vacation. I'm gonna pay for a hotel room. I'm gonna buy a plane ticket for you and your wife, pay all y'all expenses, and I'm gonna send y'all on a trip to Acapulco. And you think you're doing a good thing. But then your friend and his wife get on that plane. The plane crashes and they die. Unintended consequences. If you had not bought that ticket and put them on that plane, they'd be alive today. You see? We are mere mortals, mere men, so we don't know everything. So there are things that we could say should happen this way, but if they did happen that way, they would have some unintended consequences that we might regret. So I'm glad it ain't in your hands. I'm glad it ain't in my hands. I'm glad it ain't in the devil's hands. I'm glad it's in God's hands. Almighty God. All right. This is that's a good place. We might have a chance to read one more scripture. But before reading one more scripture, on what I was talking about just now, unintended consequences. My prayers go out to the family, the surviving family of all those folks that was killed this past week that were in that duck boat. Y'all might have heard about that. See, these folks, I talk about unintended consequences. Here it was a whole family. I think like 7 or 8 folks in the same family was on this duck boat. It's a little tourist boat, one of these little things that could go on land, and you're driving it. It's like a truck. It's driving like a bus. It's driving on land, and then it goes in the water. It could float, and it's a boat. We call them duck boats. Go on land and on the water. And I forgot exactly where it was. It was somewhere in the United States. And as some bad weather came up while they were out there, the thing sank. And there was, I think, 17 people that drowned. Now, see, we talk about unintended consequences. Now, the thing that's just striking me, that family that died, there had to be some patriarch or matriarch, some leader of that family, one of the oldest folks in that family that got that morning, that woke up and said, look, family, we're going to go have us some fun. We're going to go get on this boat. And it might have been some of them family members that said, well, I don't want to go on that boat. And the other one said, well, come on, we're going to have fun. And think they're doing a good thing to go out there and have fun. And because of the decision they made, now they got 7 or 8 of their family members are dead. Unintended consequences. As we wrap up, I just thank God. I thank God for blessing me with peace. I thank God for blessing me with peace in knowing that it ain't in my hands. For knowing that it ain't in nobody's hands. For knowing that it ain't in the devil's hands. For knowing that indeed God is in control. That God has got this. So I thank God for blessing me with that knowledge. And I pray this upcoming week, no matter whatever it is that God has planned for you to go through, no matter what it is, no matter how high your mountain might be, no matter how low your valley might be, no matter how rough your seas might be in this upcoming week, I pray that God blesses you and yours with peace. Till we meet again here next week on The Message, may God Almighty bless you and yours with peace.